Let's play but a normal round of Terraria with this normally named character, so it needs no saying. Of course I would choose this generic word like any other. What is this? There's nothing here! Nothing at all! It's just empty, a void of nihility, black darkness devoid of but the shimmer in the dark. Guess we can do nothing but make everything from scratch. 5,155 items, 88 achievements, a bestiary of 540 by the 50 each. How long could that possibly take? Shimmer Magic Mirror, Shimmer Tools, these are the lines. Now let's talk about the rules with that in the background. I assume you may have seen the Shimmering Sky video. What this is not. That one wants you to know what little you need to do to beat Moonlord. Moonlord for me comes after hour 30, after I finally decided to do it. We also are in Journey mode, as that is mandatory for this. I will use all its features, including God mode, but of course I will do bosses on Legendary without. The Journey mode slider of course doesn't tell you difficulty, so I didn't know that, and there was one boss, after which I just had to look it up and realize it was Legendary. And as a fun side note to that, if you put it on Journey mode with a slider, you're in neither Classic nor Expert mode. What you can see from our starting setup is that it is different from the thumbnail, from what's actually the minimum needed, and what will I upload on the workshop, being easily searchable by just having this 5 character name typed. Or 3, I don't know if the workshop accepts Cloud in a Balloon as a valid character. This is such a long task that in my testing I just went over critical things I could think of. So I also will miss out on one specific thing in this that I could get, but didn't the way I did this. To give the most immediate difference between Shimmering Sky and this, Journey mode does give you a magic mirror to start off, so I don't need to grind for those. I also will only open treasure bags once I get 3 to duplicates in, so I never opened the eye bag just because I felt like it. Being able to do blocks speeds up things by a lot, of course. There was the question of can you beat a world with nothing in it at start, and honestly in Journey mode you can get through by using the achievement glitch to get Zenith, research it, sell it infinitely and go from there. Also, if there is such a thing as a boss you cannot beat due to missing out on so many things, do you always have God mode? Maybe unsatisfactory, but just beating the game from nothing is good enough. Though I don't know how you would do Golem. Maybe in the upcoming Skyblock seed they add stuff to get there, even if I think they will just change how the temple spawns. And this long-winded speech was to say, I will not use glitches in this and the final map is set up so that you don't need them. No quitting out of the game to duplicate chest content, and no alchemy. To do all of that you need... That will come at the end, so that you too can start your run off in Hardcore Inferno Masochist 1 HP, all enemies are dungeon guardians using the feet control the game while you're being kidnapped. Some major differences to Shimmering Sky are that I have the altar, a temple door, not only for the achievement, hellstone and dungeon bricks. I will not use any of this, and just play with Shimmer and starting inventory till Moonlord. I will state at the end what you cannot get from only Shimmer, and what things come out of adding what to the starting world. Now! Yes, I'm using texture packs, I have my vanity, and there is a light pad which actually affects the stone staff seed. I have God mode. You will never see any of these things added by me having more pain as well. The pad then is so you can see things. For texture packs, as we are pressed on time, I compressed about 90 hours to 4 and then had to compress it further to 1.5, so I will talk about them later. I do want to speak about more than just this challenge in this video, as maybe this does get to add some last minute changes for the Skyblock seed that got overlooked. In the background I did grinding for lava, and then honey, and then the other liquid. My other powers are also cheat sheet, 30 times spawn rate increaser. I needed it anyways if I come across things I cannot get, but if you want to multiply about 40 to 60 hours of those 90 by 30 to get the real time it takes, no one stops you. Here then is my trick for lots of things due to Journey mode that make it even faster. If you put anything in a bottle or terrarium, does it only needs 1 to research. But how could that help us? I mean, you can't make stars out of bottled stars. I do wonder if there's anything special that could be used in this world. In other words, we can de-shimmer it, and this is now my official proof that 1 equals 5. I will be sending it to the Council of Mathematics soon, you better not see my work. We will also use this trick for critters especially, to not get 3 golden water striders. Some quick housing and we have NPCs. So, I have a worm. I have a star. Enchanted Nightcrawler. Quick insert as I couldn't find a better place. With NPCs there's a traveling merchant spawn. And well, I can just pull out 10,000 gold bars out of my lone TF, sell them and say now hello to ultraviolet torches. So this is where the light pad loses a lot of its value for all those haters. If I were to just do beat Moonlord, I still would fish. But I don't think you understand the extent to how much fishing this needs. Not only do I need it to get stuff like heart crystals, but I need it just to have the biome crates. In my testing there was funky stuff with shimmering the crates. Therefore did I pre-hard mode fishing for the pre-hard mode crates. We only have forest, sky, underground, crime, jungle, mushroom and honey. So it is lucky that I could downgrade the hard mode crates in the end. I really just wish it also worked the other way around. There is zero gameplay downsides to that, due to fishing not changing in hard mode. Build a box and it is functionally identical to pre-wall regardless of how strong the enemies are. Unusual survival strategy in the background. Just drink water if you're drowning from being in water, so that you drown less from water by intaking more water. This is copyrighted and I will find you if you use this, but achievements will come separate at the end. For stronger fishing do I do quests, though I will also do... No, not 200 fishing quests. I need 2 of every quest fish. There are 41 quest fish unless I miscounted, for a total of 82. Will I get all of those pre the 200 quests or not? Who knows? One trick that Journey adds, and why you should always play on Journey, is that I can change time at will. This does refresh the quest as well as specifically the skeleton merchant's inventory, because it also bumps up the moon phase to the next. This way you can get everything that is moon phase based. And just tell me you wouldn't love to just go to the fisher, change to the next day instantly, pull out your creative menu, get the quest fish and be done with it. At first it's slower to put the quest fish in the chest and don't get the rewards until you get the second, but in return does it speed up extremely fast. With Biome Creation Simulator, quest fishing, I reached another satisfactory point due to journey mode. 10 crates equals stooping them, or in other words it equals 9,999 crates. Time to right click. King Slime! He's here, every slime is King Slime in this, 0.5% of the time it is. Still only spawned to me twice this way, and well, I have beaten a lot of slimes. If you're wondering what the ever-living Rick I'm doing, I wanted to cheese the bosses, just that here is what I tried to do in Optimized. I used actuation to put a lot of explosive bunnies in one block space, so that I can summon the eye and it does infinite damage. Like, there are 1-frame kills of the bosses, so I really don't get why this doesn't work. If you look at the health bar, that isn't even the 350 damage that an explosive bunny does. This is why I am now scrambling to beat the eye with extremely zoomed in. It doesn't go well and I naturally try it a second time. Back to back nights of the eye spawning. And now we are fighting the eye of Golem normally. Not hard, I just ran out of space. 4th night in a row of the eye spawning, and I swear that the chance is boosted in the seed. I've never seen the eye this aggressively spawn in. With a bit of time in hand, let's discuss the idea of doing this in hardcore. With the exception of some random not at all important things, can you get most of everything from just shimmer. You would need to grind way more. You don't have increased spawn rates, and you do need to pay attention instead of just standing there attacking while farming. But it would be doable. The one thing I'm unsure is the beginning. Constance gives you the hunger bar. You get 60 minutes until you start dying. In that time would you need to get food. The consistent answer is fishing, which needs you to go to hell, beat lava beds, get enough lava to turn into water, to have an adequate fishing pond. This needs you to have blocks to build, iron to craft the bucket, and do all that without dying, which is way harder as you cannot just YOLO it. Hell enemies kill you really fast, forcing you to be cautious, forcing you to be slow. I don't think it is impossible, just really annoying unless you randomly get a food drop. More fighting still? This is perfect to shut up complainers about texture packs. I am using certainly one of the texture packs of all time, to be specific, 30, with some being to overrate what others do that I don't really like. Others are basically just the same texture pack but split into multiple. Way underused feature, regardless what you think about these. I would not be opposed if I also could make swole dudes, but this is the internet, you are on the internet, you know how the internet works. I spent 90 hours mostly fishing and standing in place to beat up enemies, so yeah, I will use something to make it more enjoyable. Base Terraria pictures are good, but not unmoving stream for 10 minutes, go someone else, repeat good. One thing I wish could be added is random texture pack selection. The cultist and the guy she tells you not to worry about are cool, but I would like if it randomly decided which of these texture packs is used, so that even I don't know what the game currently looks like. This gets even better with music packs, that way you can have always different but hopefully still fitting music. And the eye is done. We get from that Crimson Seed. This is a corruption world by the way. Maybe get fixed by invert the seed drops, but still odd. From the corruption we will now get exactly nothing. The Undertaker out of Crimson Trace allowed the Arms Dealer to spawn, which sells us exactly nothing. There is just so little point to evil biomes without orbs or demon altars pre-wall of flesh. So, this means because of that is it the case that we now will, after having defeated the Eye of Golem, go over to what can only follow. Can we finally get to the ocean? This seed is so miserable in all the wrong ways. The true ocean does not spawn ocean enemies. Those only spawn the ocean, which is the caverns, which is the underground, which is the surface, but only in the inner third of the world, but only half of the time, but also half of the time. I can deal with beehive spawning lava, queen bee just appearing for no reason, there being absolutely no traps at all in the world. That every enemy's spawn location is changed, and then they after that changed where the biomes are, and then after that changed in what biomes the enemies spawn. It's just misery for the completionist. Not knowing this is a jungle first. This is so much faster to do. I can dupe Crimson Seed, so no need to wait for it to grow. This is of course the awful seed, meaning we cannot buy purification powder. Instead we need evil powder and shimmer it. This is also for you haters, why 30 times spawn rate for a total of 300 plus god mode is far better than not having it. As this is something you would never see, this absurd nonsense in other cases. But go to hell with that. I want a demon size first. I never ever used it, but I heard it is one of the best pre-hard mode weapons, so I wanted to try it. So I used completely normal spawn rates to farm it quickly, using my super hot dodging skills to avoid all damage. The thing is that if I'm using bullet time, the recording still shows at a normal time, as it also slows down, so you cannot see me dodging all these enemies with how fast I am moving. With this Queen Bee fight, I just want to mention how well designed bosses are. Queen Bee is not hard. When fought underground in minimal space, she actually gets stronger in open spaces, as the stingers don't go through blocks, and she loves to hover right inside these blocks. I also tried the mini shark. I still remember it as half shark, half gun. Completely awesome. It is not. Going next, I used for the first time ever the shotgun. I just don't ever do ranger, so I didn't knew that it is a good weapon, as people say. The blade of grass I also never really used, but it was great for the enemies that tried to hit you and not constantly run away, aka the beast she's spawning. After beating her, I kinda just ignored her treasure bag. I can dupe them. Nothing stops me from refighting her twice to do that, but I just didn't. What I did was finally get a goblin army, after figuring out where it is, and I got meat by royalty in terms. A coward, yet still a king. Now is it my time to complain. Every time, without fail, whenever I make a world and get to invasions, they don't spawn, regardless of seed or mods. Invasions just struggle to exist in my worlds. This goblin invasion that is supposed to go from the edge of the world towards the center, and once it reaches starts, was not in the center. It was also not in the original world spawn. It was in the true right ocean. This is 300 times spawn rate. This is less than what most people see with 1 time spawn rate. Goblin Tinkerer dies, Goblin Tinkerer rise, workshop we thrive, best we forge due to money we rise. I spare you the crafting of everything, but just let me tell you, there are some items you should never craft at the same time in one world. The Obsidian Skull, Obsidian Rose and Lava Charm have to have all combinations possible, just for them to collapse into the one same item. No one would actually be crazy enough to do this and craft all these nonsense recipes that only exist for consistency. It would take hours to make things like all 16 string variants. I want to mention this thing I only know because I tested, and I don't know where the footage is anymore, but that isn't even all that interesting to begin with. If you want to do full bestiary, there's a chance it is completely impossible in your current world. And why? That is due to this guy. This guy gets replaced by Digger. Rune Wizard doesn't replace Tim. Devils not demons, Corruptors not Eater of Souls. It is just a giant worm that is completely unobtainable once in hard mode, including the banner, so I had to grind that banner. Just like the invasions that I struggled to get worms to spawn, so it took ages to get the banner. I got 2 Tim banners before I got 1 giant worm banner. Fishing, fishing, more fishing. Time for the wall. One of the biggest things I was afraid about is that I remember times when the wall would spread out evenly between the bottom floor and the top ceiling, even if that ceiling is space, and the wall due to the structures in hell ignores one thick wall. But at some point did they fix that AI. Still did I lose once, as a thing we always fear happened to me, and my hell bridge was too small. I even barely did it while being so far away from the ice I struggled to hit it. The one issue is that the wall goes so fast at one point that the weird way demons eyes start flying prevented them from reaching it. Eventually, meaning the next attempt did I do it, and that ends 13 hours of pre-hard mode, mostly based within fishing and building places to fish in, all compressed into less than 20 minutes. If you think I'm rushing things, this is just all the interesting stuff there was, and I still have 80 more hours to put in the next 40 minutes. Beginning of hard mode is also the time where we get the most important enemy in this entire challenge. This one enemy reduces the amount of blocks we need to start off by about 500. And that is not a joke. For some reason, do the celebration and get fixed boy inherited jungle mimics shoot 50 different types of blocks. This includes the very important biome creation blocks for marble, granite, snow, as well as clay, ash, silt and slush, which need 100 or 200 to duplicate. We can use the trick of crafting a pot out of clay and furniture out of marble, granite and ice to reduce that count by 98 each, but silt, slush and ash still would be a minimum of 500 blocks needed, without this one enemy. I will say first of all, this is the optimized box for this farming, as they shoot out blocks so far otherwise and you would need to move instead of standing still. Of course, God mode should not have to dodge, but lastly did I cheat in 5 more mimics, as I cannot run Terraria passively. My PC will immediately turn it to standby if it isn't the active window. The math is easy. This footage was 40 seconds, sped up by 32 times, and I multiplied the mimics by 6. That's 5 hours of me just having the game running, unable to use my PC. I don't like running my PC overnight, so yes, I will use cheat sheets to speed this up. Of course, the reason why we would do anything in this world, at all, is just for the purpose of fishing more. We fish in the ice biome, we fish in the newly spawned Hallowed, we fish in the corruption, we fish in the desert. I did realize that optimized fishing is just reeling in anything. The time from losing a catch to getting the next one is way longer than just catching it and throwing it out again. Great. We upgrade from Ancient Kobold to Titanium directly, and just one more grinding for the Daedalus Stormbow. This seed really is just grinding our bosses, with nothing in between, as there is no world to explore. That means there is one item you cannot get, and through proxy all derivatives. That one item is something you may didn't even know is an item. You have just seen it and assumed that it is simply there without any purpose. But it is a real item that needs you to use the paint scrapper. As one thing, the paint scrapper actually does scrap off and not just erase from existence. Moss! It's moss! These aren't just fancy looking stone blocks. That stuff on them is moss and it can be harvested. There are many variations, in fact 11, that are just there to create better looks. And fishing bobbers. As you see, is all you need helium moss to get all the variations on an extractionator. Despite being made through crafting and so should be deshimmerable. I have to say, I really would like if rainbow blocks can be made with these. As that means rainbow slimes who drop those and spawn naturally can be used to farm moss in a world without by deshimmering the rainbow blocks into moss and balloon blocks probably. What do you expect me to say? Stone? I say disco, you say party. Disco, disco, rainbow blocks. Happy flashbang! Just another showing of how true hell was in heaven all along. Is Sky also getting a spawn rate increase? Because this is way more than what happens on the ground. Or it just looks that way, with more spread out enemies, not stacking on top of another. With Harpy Wings, 2 more Wall of Flash. You really are so much stronger simply by being in hard mode. This is really the only boss where you go from beating the boss to completely destroying it, without doing anything in between. We luckily did get the trophy. We do need all of them and I did track how many kills per boss it took me to get one. Here is in addition our first satisfaction point of just spam opening treasure bags. Some quick fighting against more biome chests, just to mention that I realized something really weird about them. If you spawn enough evil mimics, the others suddenly start spawning. As if there is a hard cap on how many of one type can there be in one world at once. Not like you would ever see that, as usually you don't just sit there and summon more and more of them. Anyways, these give me my new God mode weapon. The Bagnuts are really just good against Plantera, due to the low range, but with God mode you can use their full potential, and they are really strong if you actually do hit with them constantly. This much fishing I skipped over. This isn't 200 as I did do 60 beforehand in testing, but I will do the full 200 in this, even if I forgot to keep the message, but the angler does say I have 200 exactly. And that tracks per player, not the total like the achievement does. I also tested if this is world based, like the Bestiary is. If you didn't know, you can kill one enemy in a world but still get the message you killed the 1000th enemy, as it only tracks how many are killed in the world. I still need 41 of these Faru, and that twice by the count, meaning Queen Slime is up. I don't have much to say. In an open world she is trivial. The most dangerous about Queen Slime is the bouncing gel cluttering the ground, so if you simply don't have solid ground, will it all fall and makes it super easy. I'm trying for the first time after this the hook of dissonance, and it is just so bad. The idea is great, and here is a direct comparison. If I didn't miss one throws at the same speed, despite me fully halting, but that is the exact issue with this hook. In real scenarios you don't need the sum to be equal, but a smooth substep as well. With the eye here I can easily dodge it with a normal hook, and no movement accessories, or even anything resembling an arena. The hook of dissonance makes you fully stop, so the servants clump up, clutter the screen, and then you cannot jump to get the full throw length and just die. The idea of course is that you can teleport through enemies, but worms are really the only enemy that applies to. But then why not use a normal hook? And just be so fast that you never are in a position of needing to do dumb trick shots. It would probably be better if the hook throwout is instant, but then it would need a lot of other balancing stuff. With Queen Slime Beat will I finally start opening for death armor. It's not all that special, except for at the end. We will see that unholy thing that this texture pack does to the death sets. I also was missing out on exactly one of them when I finally placed it all. All bets up to which one it is. The upcoming one, OCRAM, is the only boss where I struggled. No other boss does what OCRAM does. I know that Skeletron has a catch-up mechanic. You can never outrun it and are supposed to circle it, just that there is a giant worm in the way, and I'm not talking about the enemy giant worm. I also just in general felt so slow con mocha, even when I eventually got down to the solo twins, that I struggled to be fast enough to get away from Spaz saying it's Spazin time and then Spaz all over the place. This fight is the reason why I know this is legendary, despite saying it's master. With struggling that much did I just need to compare. I already did have a puzzling moment with Queen Bee, being actually on expert, so I changed to master just to realize that I already had a trophy and now have 2. But in this fight I compared that, and no wonder this was so much harder. I cannot for the life of me find anywhere what legendary does to enemies. All it always says is that there are no changes compared to master. They don't even mention that HP is increased, so I found out myself. Skelly has 57k instead of 53, Destroyer 20 instead of 15, and Twins 46 each for a total of 92 compared to 82. That's a total of 20,000 more HP of damage you need to do. That just no one seems to bother to mention that. In addition, do enemies do more damage? I can't tell you how much more, but it invalidates defense. It may be a bit easier to be fully warding, but that is not how it goes in Legendary usually. In the end did I try to do the Destroyer cheese, and well, it may be that Medusa just spawns differently due to being 4 bosses in one. But regardless of what I tried, did the Destroyer always spawn so many blocks beneath solid blocks that Dynamite can't reach him. It still helped to have this one open spot I can attack, and after lots of struggle, so many Destroyer skills that I got the best armor set in the game, and gamer mode activated, did I finally do it. And I just have to mention, 8 minutes. This is a recurring theme from now on. All hard mode bosses, when done at the right time, took me about exactly 8 minutes, which is really cool. You get stronger but the bosses equally. So once you get back, you suddenly are crazy strong without ever realizing it. Oh, and yes, I got the Rod of Discord. I forgot to record, which is sad. I got it within 3 Chaos Elementals, 2 rods. This is Celebration inherited 1% drop chance, but still a 0.5% chance to happen. Another thing I can mention is something I do as a trick for fight. I have the armor change buttons set to 1, 2 and 3, the same buttons you use to switch hotbar slots. That way, if I press 1, do I get the first weapon and armor set at the same time. I can swap easily between fighting styles this way, depending on if I want to be defensive mid melee, and in that case probably disregard doing damage, or offensive with whatever in the other slot is. It could even be another melee set, but full offense then. One weird thing I realized and really annoys me is that armor sets are super slow to switch with keybinds. Weapons I get that they need to end their animation before you are allowed to swap them, but armor sets take even longer than weapons before you can change them after using one, if you use keybinds specifically. Pressing on the buttons on the side has no cooldown or restriction, but when using keybinds it's slower than weapon swaps, meaning you can end up pressing 1 and have the weapon 1 and still be in armor set 3. This is not a short difference, but a full second longer for some reason. And it took me in total 18 failed attempts to beat this boss, by the way. I could now do this 2 more times, or do this. That is what the backnuts do to the Destroyer's curled up state, if you have God mode to ignore everything. 15 seconds is no then is 1 second. Just that I am using a pre-mag weapon, if just this was usable. I will spare you me trying to do the one thing journey mode can't do. Sandstorms are distinct from all other events, as they need high wind speed and then have a chance to happen. Windy days are just wind speed, snow is rain based, storms don't have anything spawning. Instead I do now something more mind-rotting, by farming life crystals. I just need 10 for the total 21, as journey mode is awesome. I never played on journey mode freezes, and I will never play on anything but post this. It's just superior in every way. Ignore the journey mode powers, set your difficulty and it is just classic. But you can always skip time instead of waiting for no benefits at all until you get the right time. You can change the weather instead of waiting for no benefits at all. You can increase spawn rate instead of just taking 10 times longer for no benefits at all. I thought it was easy mode, but with the difficulty slider existing, is there no reason to not play on journey mode. Ready for plant like 10 life fruits ago and 18 life crystals ago, I am going to trivialize it. And no, I don't mean how I tried to abuse how Terraria moves by making a floating platform away from where it spawns so that it can never walk towards me. This may be possible, but this is just so much effort when I can trivialize Terraria by fighting it normally. I could use the Excalibur if I remembered it existed, so I am doing Titanium Sword. Because of that, do tentacles have hands? They do the same damage as the main body does, so 200 in other words, and I don't have the power to clean them up, which means I need to, like a coward, use the Rod of Discord. Having a bit of time until this finishes with a way too weak weapon. I recently was thinking with how texture packs are used change NPC tags, that it would be cool to have one for beginners. Terraria is often a wiki game, despite all the information being in the game, it's just poorly told to the player. Like, I think it is a zoologist or so who's mentioning the angler, and the angler then can mention Sky Islands due to fishing quests. They are not something you randomly stumble upon when you can fly in hard mode. The game tells you about their existence right at the start of the game, exactly when you should search for them. You could totally make a texture pack where all the NPC text gets reworked to give better tips. Not the do this tip, but things that make players actually listen to what the NPCs say. For example, the guide should make absolutely clear that he tells you every crafting recipe, with how many people read his beginning line and don't realize the craft button. Maybe even color text, and that is also possible just like for every other text in the game. That way you open the menu and get assaulted by something you have to read. If this is done, you can just tell new players, use this texture pack, and it will help you to get the full experience without ever having to leave the game. You can also change item tags with texture packs, so things like that the eye only summons at night can be added. Then there's a part where I would like to use a part of texture packs I'm using to make a mega pack, but that's more of a me thing of taking what I think looks good, redrawing certain sprites, rework some stuff and so on. The next Terraria fight is with Excalibur, and well, we go from 40 minutes to 7. It is that much stronger, and I can now stay near phase 2 as tentacles no longer take 50 hits to die. With plant gone is a time for opening the temple door, which is just a little Zahid door. This means we can shimmer it into bricks after duping it, with doors only needing 1 to research, when bricks need 100. This, by the way, is only possible post-golem. It makes no sense to me. Why? As there is exclusively furniture you can craft with little Zahid bricks. And because of that, we cannot make little Zahid walls for the forbidden version, needing a singular one of that in the starting world. You may now wonder, don't we also need little Zahid bricks, as that is the only place little Zahid spawn on? And yes, I will not call it lizard. Why else would there be the H's there otherwise? And well, and get fixed boy, probably inherited from something. Do they spawn on any block as long as you are in the temple biome? With power cells in hand, can we do my least favorite boss in the game? No, not Golem. Tiny Golem. It's just so much HP, is so hard to hit, and is so unreasonably fast. This fight is just a slog and not fun to do. Having the ability to make the arena of choice also may be to hurt me, now that I can move a lot, when Golem will catch up to you no matter what, with how Twitter active he is. Least of all do I not need to deal with bouncing fireballs. Another thing I realized is, this Golem, for the lulz, destroys torches, but it cannot destroy campfires to give equal light and the regeneration buff, so you just use what you would use anyways to see things. With some more time at hand, let's talk about natural arenas. I mentioned it for Queen Bee, but Terraria is really good at giving you the arenas you should have for the boss for the most of it. Just try it, and do for once bosses without arena. King Slime and the Eye are made to be fought on the surface. The brain has a huge open space, and the worm has long tunnels. The wall squishes all 3 parts together in enclosed spaces so that you can do more damage. The mechs are the one part where you probably want an arena. But then Terraria gets way weaker when the spike bolts don't have the paths to get to you. There's a reason why speedrunners just dig a tunnel to fight Terraria. Golem is stationary, so you should just be as well. Cultists is not really hard, and Duke as well as the Empress just want you to have free space to move, aka fight them where you spawn them. With how they move, there is never a need to switch elevation. just hop over the attack and are done with it. Once you're at Moon Lord, you have so much mobility, just running through the world is all you need. This game is really well designed, and if you don't, you maybe just should try to not build arenas and see how it goes. Oh, and while we're at it, the same goes for weapon progression. I used the Seedler for the first time, as I played the game before it existed, and then came back when Zenith was a thing. But is it dummy strong? The same went for Excalibur, that you just craft from the hallowed bars you get from the mechs. Simply use the weapon you get from the boss, and you realize there's never a need to grind out Terrablade, or things like that. It is in fact more fun, as you don't use the same best thing always, and something like Seedler with this weird projectile plays completely different from just hold the attack button to win. Just as comparison again. Excalibur halved the time to Titanium. Seedler went from 20 minutes where it barely didn't win to 6 minutes. Following with something that doesn't matter is the Eclipse. At least I get now the Celestial Shell for maxing out melee. It's the one thing that we are really missing when having just Shimmer. Terraria has this cool progression, split at this point where Ranger wants you to build a surface mushroom biome, Mage wants you to do the dungeon, and Summoner wants you to do the pumpkin moon, and Melee needs you to grind the jungle. All these things fall apart, and all that's left is the well. We don't even get melee armor due to that needing a Hellforge. Next up could only be the completely normal game progression of the boss exactly one step harder, as this is after all the summoning condition for the cultist, so it has to come for the cultist. It would be weird if a boss would have an unlock condition for randomly 6 bosses earlier. Therefore will we not fight the old man right now, with how hard this fight has to be. Instead we skip the Geeser. After all will we get every item including the skeleton key. This key we couldn't get after. So will I also need to talk about dungeon bricks. We need 100 dungeon bricks for duplication, but that doesn't mean we need 100 dungeon bricks. With just 6 can we make a toilet, and those only need 1 to duplicate. Then we de-shimmer it and have all the bricks we want. I also know that you technically can use the chlorophyll extractonator to change between the dungeon bricks, though you probably didn't know about that. The issue is, and we will get to that, but I will need exactly 23 solid blocks in the end, 18 of which are 6 each of the dungeon brick colors. Being here and making the dungeon, and I don't want to use the dungeon stuff, just that I'm also inconsistent. And for everyone, no, I don't want to deal with a Toic system to grind the Guardians for 10 hours until my summons do the 10 billion damage needed. We have in vanilla God mode, and I will use it for this not boss fight. It's neither interesting nor worth anyone's time to do. I am using this, being too stubborn for exiting and respawning the Guardian to the quarter of the HP, to see what is better, luck or melee speed. Luck is the only way to do 2 damage, meaning 100% more damage, which is equal to having 100% melee speed. We cannot get either maxed, and attacking more often gives more chances to crit. Outside of a vacuum is this answer extremely complex. Here is doing 8k with full melee speed and full luck reforges. Thanks to Heroes mod allowing me to change that on the fly. The results are 8 minutes for speed, 6 for luck. This is ignoring that fatted back nuts only get a quarter of the melee speed. They are the best for this, only being outdone by the chain gun, which isn't obtainable pre-Skeletron. Completely not abusing this overbuffed Dungeon Guardian that I could just speed up to talk about something that annoys me. Reforgers. They suck. Not reforging the concept. It is just done poorly. There is never a reason to have anything but legendary for melee and whips, mythical for magic, unreal for bows and guns, light for tools and ruthless for summons. I don't care about if these are the best, just how much worse the other stuff is just comedical. I don't care about having good reforges if they are interesting. I want to have a 100% crit build. It would most likely be a reforge that reduces damage to trade with double damage on crit. The entire build would then revolve around getting lucky, as in this specific case is better than menacing. But that is just a boring answer. Heavy is such a cool idea. It's bad, it's meant to be. All it does is make meme builds, in which you slap that FÜQMIIHG through the entire world. That's fun and doesn't impede with gameplay. I guess that's not going to happen, and so how about the old geese next? Due to wonky stuff, is this one goose, well, out of place right now. Still legendary, and thus does the number 14 please, do a lot of damage, even against hallowed armor. Quick dungeon grind, and I kinda just used the master ninja gear. I could not, but why wouldn't I when I'm already here? And this really is just everything you think the Shield of Cthulhu is. First, just look at the dodge difference, and then you don't need the boinking, and you don't want the boinking. The only bosses in the game where this is good against are Queen Bee and Phase 3 Duke Fishron on exactly the last attack of his dash combos. In any other case where you stay right where you are instead of getting away and get hit way more from using an item that is meant to get you away from danger. Following is grinding, finding what is in the ocean. Where Goblin Scouts spawn is in the middle of the world, in the underground, which is the caverns with which the oceans. Pirate maps? Only drop in the true ocean. Why is the sea just so inconsistent? The invasion itself is boring, outside of the part where nothing works, and enemies just don't spawn whatsoever. 8 minutes of 300 times spawn rate, and that is how slow this is. I know it's not exactly going to work out like that, but that is basically 40 hours if you reverse engineer how long it took. Next up, Martian invasion, forgetting the Xenostaff, and this one took 22 minutes to do. Just why do these things always break for me, regardless of the seed, skyblock or not? Whatever I do to worlds breaks invasions. No Xenostaff. I got the cosmic car keys and I won't use it. Or want to do another 22-minute invasion for one Martian saucer. The cosmic car key is just so bad as it suffers under the same thing the Terrarian does, multiplied by 5. You are just constantly on ice, and some mods seem to just ignore that fact and force you to do quick, precise movement, which is impossible. Here I could have gotten one truffle worm, terrariumed it, and duped it, just that it is so fast to grind them when you don't do a big arena for them to spawn. As far as I know, is there nothing that makes them special in spawning. So if there is only one place where things can spawn, will they spawn there, and you can easily find them quickly. My first attempt against the Duke shows I could do it, just that I don't want to. Better arena and a bit of time is all I need. Or I will do pillars first to get the better weapon and speed it up. This is 30 hours to do Moonlord. Of the 90 the entire thing takes. I can't waste time doing impressive things. Though I would think it is interesting to try non-legendary Duke at the beginning of hard mode. He is an easy boss and all I need is to know how his eye works. For the cultist I first thought fighting him on the big pathway I built across the world, to feel a thing that God mode invalidates this entire time for me. He is best fought on open space, just that a star thought otherwise. The fight itself is easy, however do I never care for the summoning. At the point you are here is the Phantasm Dragon so weak, my mind was blown when I saw the squid being summoned to someone else. That being said, did I not want to deal with all of that, having weaker everything compared to the norm, especially on legendary. That being said, did I never ever do this correctly before, so I had no idea what to look out for. And I'm using a texture pack, which may or may not make this so that it gets harder to distinct. I really don't want to have more than the dragon. No squids, and especially not the third summon after that. I literally just vibe checked the cultist every time, and she lost. And editing is with red glow obvious, but I did not realize it consciously while fighting. All I know is that supposedly the bottom right is always a fake, which I thought was a lie when that happened. Just that I hit the top cultist, and I want you to judge. How? Now, like all bosses, will this take 8 minutes? Is that intentional or not? Who knows? But certainly better than some mods who don't respect the player's time. Due to more time on hand, back to text reworking. It needs to be, of course, not hand-holy, or too on the nose. So here's my idea for a line change of probably the Guide saying, "Who is this achievement guy anyways? And why would he know what you should do next?" Of course the first few things need to be worded a bit more aggressively, as the player needs as much information as possible, just so they know how to get information. We can't do anything about people not interacting with NPCs, but it should be normal to eventually talk to the guide. This would be a real big undertaking, to not have the. There's nothing for me to explore on my own, as well as not just being just like base game but differently worded. This would be a group effort, and when I get around to doing it, would I post on the forum, and luckily does Terraria have the perfect way to give credit through textures with paintings. I don't want to change an armor set, even vanity, but paintings would be okay, despite there being many great paintings that are said to override. I will have my words to them on the lineup during the end, but they are way better what you think. I have seen all the names and the references when going through the list to line them up. With Pillar CV, the funny thing that why are they like everywhere? They neither spawn on the surface nor above solid blocks, nor on the true surface, just random places in the world. How do they even decide where to spawn, as this image cannot explain? For reference, Solar and Vortex are on the Get Fixed Boy surface area. While doing this, will I have me killing the Empress of Light with full armor and the best weapon I think of the pillar fully maxed out builds to finally clear what is the best class, and ignoring how accessible weapons for the class are throughout the run. My preconceived notions are that Summoner and Melee are the best classes in the game. My reasoning is that Melee trivializes the game on full defense, and Summoner can use a lot of discord without losing damage. And even without, is it so much easier to dodge when you don't need to attack. Also, Terra Prisma is on par with Zenith. By more much, we will see later, but no other weapon is equaling that power. I'm biased, and so are the results more valid when I get these times. Oh, and I'm using of course Daybreak, Stardust Dragon, people say Vortex Speeder is best, and Nebula Blaze has higher number. To drag out the kill times more, will I say, is the Stardust Pillar the only place in the game where enemies can spawn when the spawn rate is multiplied by 0. I have no idea why, but this is consistently happening. When revealing the times I want to be fair to Summoner, as my PC hates particles, like the ones you get when summons attack something whipped by the kaleidoscope. I really wish there was an accessibility settings to turn down the max particle count. So I, to counteract the lag, will multiply the Summoner footage by 1.5, and for the time we get out of that, does it seem a fair thing to do, as what you saw up there is 250% with Nebula clocking in at 1.5 minutes. I have mid mana, so it could be pushed a bit more. If you think that is small, that is just how easy the Empress is. Melee was 2.5 minutes, using full menacing, and even then was I virtually invincible. I had 100 HP, took really often damage due to being reckless for having 100% damage uptime, didn't use my dash, and still never struggled to survive on Legendary. Summoner with a multiplier of 1.5 stands at 1 minute 19, the Stardust Dragon being exceptionally good against an unmoving target like the Empress. Other bosses like Duke, who constantly run around faster than you summons, would get drastically different results. Vortex then was using Venom bullets. I never used Stranger, but man, are there some crazy strong bullets you can get when you just aim and stop using chlorophyll. You go to 15 damage from 9, and they give a 30 DPS debuff, all lost just because you couldn't be bothered to aim. Stardust, Nebula and Vortex are pretty much identical in time, with Melee being way slower. Without Zenith is Melee the weakest class, which makes sense when you consider the invincibility part about it. Magic is also weird, with how for one I didn't have max mana and got more mana sickness, and then did I use auto mana potions, which every one of those accessories doesn't give damage. If you are good at manually taking potions, you get a power boost, just like how you just need to get good at aiming on Ranger to get a power boost. Summoner then is weird with whip stacking. I 100% cannot do this unless I want my PC to explode. But actually, the crazy part is my PC doesn't even get hot or anything. It just starts to lag Terraria and nothing else is affected. If you then do whip stacking, does the damage skyrocket. Or you just use the Rod of Discord and break the game entirely. And that is always why Summoner is best. It doesn't matter how strong or fast enemies are, if you can just teleport out of the way. Post the pillars took me 7 attempts, the second in line right after the 18 from Medusa, the Duke of all fishes. I am cheating and using Master Ninja gear, but I also never do this, so I have no idea about what its AI is. I totally could do this fight pre-max, with some time and getting used to its AI. I'm using Hallowed Armor, Daybreak and Master Ninja gear, so it would take longer, and no, Hallowed makes it definitely a lot harder, just for not having that dodge. But all I was struggling with was phase 3, and that one gets easy once you know how it moves. In fact, the real challenge would be no movement accessories, just hook. It is so predictable that you can do it with a lot of time and stubbornness at hand. Duke really does feel like around the max with how little HP it has. Daybreak took me 2 minutes 40, and we already know that melee is the slowest. With this fight in mind, did you know Duke Wings are second best sorta? The Napier and Vortex are technically a lot worse than Solar and Stardust because they are hoverboards. In fact, even the Starboard is worse than Solar and Stardust by raw stats. Therefore did I do the test to see the difference, and if you want to fly a lot, are Solar and Stardust always better. If you are vertically challenged, use those. Otherwise, to hoverboards give you crazy acceleration vertically. We are trading about half the distance for 75% speed increase. I did this fight for the wings, but getting the tsunami is also good, which I think is better than the phantasm due to more arrows shot interacting really good with special effect arrows. I am no ranger and this may be dumb, and I only tried Moonlord like that 2 times. After that did I have enough and just go to melee, get it on the first try. Just like every boss with bouncing stuff, if there is no solid floor, do moon boulders hardly makes this fight, well, harder. All you need is really just one long bridge and constantly move away. With training do you get the feeling when the top laser comes. Fly over, repeat. When the top eye is out, there's no longer any danger in this fight. I so appreciate how the true eye lasers are kept in length. This is all on the seat, so hard you cannot choose it. It chooses you, and all this extra Yerisho. When I'm doing the second and third, you even see the credits still in the background, who I think only spawn after beating Moonlord for the first time. The entire fight takes me 7 minutes with the slowest class. Following did I want to say how many treasure bags until I get to Terraria, the thing that gives you an achievement, just that it was instant. My first time trying this, I had to open 20 treasure bags I had to obtain normally when sucking at this fight to get the yo-yo that isn't even a good weapon. And while we finish this off, did you know that the solar eruption also gives the Daybroken status? I thought that was tied to the lances sticking out of the enemies, but no, the real difference is that the Daybreak can stack up to 8 times, what at that point may as well be a different debuff. Just like Fire and Cursed Inferno are the same debuff, just differently strong. I could now get Luminite stuff for the Empress, or I beat her with just a Starboard and Starraz, to have some arbitrary challenge for daytime, which isn't simultaneously taking me too long to complete with just having the smallest part of this completed. I also know I hit her on accident. This is the awful seed. You cannot spawn her daytime in this scene, or she just runs away instantly. You also cannot spawn her on the surface, as then she instantly runs away. You need to summon her underground, then get to above ground, all during night, not hitting her on the way, just to trigger daytime AI. Starraz was 2 minutes 30 equal to Daybreak max out gear. What can I say, Starraz good. I always use Meowmare because funny Nyan Cat, when the Starraz is so much better. I do have the idea of making a challenge where I use a mod to change weapon projectile, so that I can place choices, but I merge weapons and Starraz with like block destroying mini nuke sounds absurd. Oh, and my second try with solar armor was 1 minute 40. It's that much better than Halo. 2/3 of the video, 1/3 of my recording. But that fits, as most of what follows is me standing around beating up enemies or fishing or crafting. I now use Cheat Sheet, with first things first being a Hellforge. It allows Hellstone and Glorified plus derivatives. That's not a lot, but I do need it. I will now complain. Why do Hellforges not come in the Hell crates? In general, does Hell have a lot of unobtainable loot, for no reason other than cause? The culprits will be the same for Obsidian and Dungeon, so here we go. Workbench, candle, bookcase, chair, lantern, candelabra, lamp, drawer, bed, sofa, table, vase. And those are exclusive for types that are unobtainable. Piano, bathtub, and so many paintings. Sky crates already have sky paintings in them, meaning there's no reason why hell crates, dungeon crates and desert crates, at the very least, would not also have the appropriate paintings in them. Then why is most of the obsidian and dungeon furniture uncraftable? You can craft some, but not all of them, adding a total of 59 things you should be able to craft, but just can't. In terms of hellstone, will I solve the riddle? You need 100 hellstone to duplicate, but not 100 hellstone to have infinite hellstone. Pause if you want to think about it. The answers have been said already in this video. Making hellstone bars takes 3 each, for 10 that make a flamerang, reducing it to 30. Good, just not good enough. Bars take way too much. 1 bar is already more than what the minimum is. Obsidian chests take 2 hellstone, we're only taking 1 to research. You only need exactly 2 hellstone in journey. Now we can go to getting the Zenith, needing the volcano, a demon altar to make the Night's Edge, and time for more advance, with an intermission of you and what army. Now that I am doing the dungeon properly for the Muramasa, during which I also got the first of 3 golden cards, which are just really rare trash, followed by ectoplasm for the pumpkin moon that also gives a necromantic scroll and papyrus scroll. Stardust armor is 5 summons, those 2 are 2 more, pigment necklace is 1, bewitched 1 more, summoning potion the last, and now we have 9. The pumpkin moon was needed anyways, as we found the proof of Halloween being objectively better than Christmas. You need the headless horseman for the Zenith, not the Christmas tree sword. Bar Betsy's weapon that is the crossover content and makes sense to not be part in Zenith, is Frost Moon the only not represented part of Infinity. Anyways, the Terror Blade is the only part of the Zenith you cannot get from Shimmer alone. With all the parts will I make 2 legendary Zeniths, that I could just use Heroes mod to get there. Or do this. With Zenith will I finally test what is better, maxed out Summoner or Melee. The difficulty in Journey mode is buffed up to weird difficulty by Get Fixed Boy, and I tried extremely hard to run around all eyes, which is impossible by just a bit. In actual classic this could be doable. Anyways, Zenith is that much faster, and why I'm even using it for Summoner. 1/3 HP more damage, and the reason why it competes with the best weapons in post-Moonlord mods, without needing gimmicks or nonsense visuals, to be cool or have some absurd high number for big number equals better. Melee was in this 26 seconds, and Summoner 38. And fine, after this did I quickly test Last Prison Mage and SDMG Ranger, to not be biased. Mage doesn't have mana sickness when you are in God mode, where it heavily increases damage from something that burns through mana as the Last Prison does. That is to be kept in mind. Also is of course nothing close to the Zenith when dealing with lots of enemies at once. Mage has 30 and Ranger 46 seconds, making them all in line when you ignore that Summoner is such strong pre-Moonlord, when everyone else uses post-Moonlord weapons. But that just shows how much Summoner got shafted back in the days, that there is no Summoner weapon dropped by Moonlord, and we needed to have a new boss specifically designed to give post-Moonlord weapons despite being pre-Moonlord. All of this was for the reason of obtaining trophies naturally. I could tell you how many kills per boss, or I shut up until I hang them up. Anyways, how is the weather? Let me guess, sunny and you live in Egypt? No longer with any stakes have I now the allowance for +6 accessories cheat sheet, aka 6 seconds to beat the Empress. That's so fast that she doesn't even go into phase 2. Normally you only would get her to 1/3 before phase change. Demon Altars give us now the extra eyes for the treasure bags, as well as the first time brain. Now a meteor spawns. What I was dreading. I feared meteors cannot spawn on player-placed blocks, but it seems they simply ignore chests and villages, or most likely will they only land on specifically sand, dirt, stone, mud and variations. The next unlockable by evil bosses is a tavern keep. In other words, here it comes, my patented, 100% guaranteed, super duper difficult to execute, but optimal way of doing the Old One's army. I zoom in and then stand there motionless until Betsy dies. Terror Prisma is so good it can solo the entire event. This entire event, I will say it, is super cool but it sucks. Tower defense in theory is the best idea possible for a sandboxy game. Is it annoying how you have to be on a perfectly flat open space? The entire identity of Terraria is that the player decides how to fight bosses. Maybe instead of it being open, does it say that the portals calculate how long the pathway is for the ground enemies. You can make windy turns that then get ignored by flying enemies, making it harder overall, but more interesting to do. Then is it a slog? Until wave 6 is it just existing for you to get etherian mana, and it takes so long time to get there. Like once I tried to get banners, so I left when I finally had it, just for Betsy to suddenly show up miles away from the event that I left ages ago, and simply got annihilated by 3 lunar portals all the ways before that. Well, those are my thoughts. Well, he's just standing there, ruthless! Now with Wormfoot in hand, do we have the ability to attract the Worm Plant that lost 50% HP in one hit when I hit all segments at once. Deerclops being the last pre-hard mode boss, and underground ice biome is needed. This is all the grinding from now on. Sit there, throw the Xenos, and lose by being the guy who did this instead of using his time for something better. At least you have to look forward to what the kill count is going to be after everything. Using 30 times spawn rate should not affect the average, meaning the kills are accurate for the most of it. Only sped up to do, giving you a scientifically accurate average time and kills it will take to get all things with a sample size of 1. Sometimes I farm individual enemies I could group, other times I need to farm one enemy for so long it would never matter. Like Giant Worm! This is no speedrun. It isn't some Twilight Princess min percent that only takes 15 hours of mostly just having your console turned on and wait. Constant attention needed for short-term high-quantity grinds. Deerclops is dead. Without the demon altar I could have gotten King Slime, but he only spawned on me twice, even after everything. What I now want to mention is so awesome that I'm angry about it. King Slime has a rare non-treasure-back drop of a pet, and the only pet in the game that is a material, combinable with a Queen Slime identical obtained pet. We really should be getting more of those. Not every pet, but specific ones really should. Like what if all the mech pets are combined to a mini Medusa pet? What's missing? Let me just quickly check. And oh, this is, almost no player has the achievement for it, as it is simply that impossible ratio. For that we first need to master the concept of temporal manipulation of the real world by beating the Frost Moon, to make it become Christmas for presents, and this is how many it took to get all the things from them. And this is how many it took for goodie bags. And I do really wonder why Christmas sucks this much. Halloween has summoner armor, summoner accessories, the best mount in the game if it isn't raining, one of the standard ingredients, and all the Frost Moon gets is chain gun, as the fastest weapon in the game and nothing else. At least make some candy armor crafted from candy blocks and a drop that comes out of this event similar to turtle shells. Finally able to get the hardest event in the game, only 40% of players are capable of beating, that even when the Frost Moon is already over. This is everything that is just oh so minorly normal gameplay. NPC cleanup time. There's one NPC, I'm unsure if it is possible for that NPC to spawn in this world. Or how about this? Guide, merchant, nurse, dye, trader, zoologist, dryad, painter, witch doctor, clothier, party girl, wizard, tax collector, steampunker and cyborg are all trivial. Each has a condition that is just beat Moonlord or anything needed to get there. If you couldn't get any of these NPCs, could you not beat Moonlord? Except for the Dryad, who needs you to get fishing, so without Shimmer, you wouldn't be able to get her. Demolitionist as well needs fishing for bombfish, which I think is the only explosive you can get from just Shimmer. Angler, golfer, mechanic and truffle need special biomes to spawn that you need to build. Keep in mind that the golfer only spawns in front of treacherous sandstone walls, that you get from shimmering sandstone walls. The dungeon cannot be made from Shimmer, with how dungeon bricks are unobtainable, so the mechanic also needs you to start with 6 dungeon bricks. The arms dealer needs a gun that you can get out of crimson crates. The tavern key needs you to beat the worm or brain. You cannot summon unless you have a demon altar. Goblin, Tinkerer, Pirate and Santa come from event beating. Santa specifically comes after the Frost Legion, so it is always possible, just as it easier with the dungeon for Frost Medallions. With all other NPCs do you then get the princess. Who now paid attention, as there is one NPC you may or most likely may not remember, I skipped over. with the last NPC I could not make to spawn, no matter what I tried. It is not as if I could overlook if the stylus spawns and get immediately killed, as a message also appears in chat from non-rescued NPCs, even with infested spider wall. And as you see here, this gives you the Jeeper Creeper's achievement, also from player placed walls. Did she never spawn? There is also the issue with where's my honey? Probably because there is no hazardous hive wall. Will you not get the achievement from player placed walls? There is a chance that the stylist only spawns where natural spider biome spawn, and it has infested walls, but I can't really test it well. There also is a third wall-based thing that didn't work, despite it should be able to. For that we will instead go to the bestiary, and I mentioned things that are interesting. The main screen is vanilla textures, but on the bottom I show my texture pack mix, and we will see how many I need to censor. You also now see the kill counts it took me for each enemy. I want to mention that I currently had Fagus mod on, for all the utility things it gives you. If there is something modded I missed, will bestiary say. That GIF, by the way, filling the void, is not a GIF. Here's a name of 4 characters you probably can't read, despite 2 being out of Terraria, and so powerful 3 of these characters are already one too long for me to use in a multiplayer server. This is not directly taken out of the game, as when I tried green screening, did I always have an ugly border, so I thought I just render it, use an online function to make it a GIF, and in Photoshop remove the background. Just that once I turned it into a GIF, did it smear colors, meaning I had to manually redraw the sprite. This may be a good thing, as programs are always miserable at blowing up pixel art, always blending pixels instead of just increasing the size of the pixel. Rant break with slimes. The interesting ones are the one you fish up in a blood moon. One you get by throwing bath water into a sparkly liquid. Then we have Purify Mystic Frog, a critter so small you easily overlook its existing, not even talking about the cryptic OBTAINALE of using purification powder. If you found that out without guide, stop lying. Even if the lifeform analyzer tells you if there is a Mystic Frog, would no one ever think of the most useful item in the game? There was more I wanted to rant about. Instead, please RELOGIC give us the ability for an in-game video recording, just like we can do pictures. As you can do this without background, meaning you could then record footage with the background already removed. I'm not talking about hour-long recordings, but like 10 minutes. We already saw how bosses took 8 minutes in Legendary, give or take, so 10 would be the perfect time frame. Some weirder kills like Lawnmower only Moonlord are too long, but in that case, just use OBS. This is for showing off certain things, not record videos. Goat critters for the most of it are straightforward, except the water strider. It is the worst critter to get. There is no such thing as non-ocean surface in this world, and they cannot spawn in an ocean biome, or anywhere other than the surface. There are only just as many things spawn in the inner third cavern layer, but only half of the time, due to this being the other half an ocean. This is even worse than cutting spawn rates in half, as now other things spawn instead that take up NPC slots, under which are turtles you cannot catch with a net, and have to kill without accidentally killing a golden water strider that could spawn underneath them. In this grind for golden critters I also started to think with portals, just that I realized you can't. What I wanted to do was to set up spawn areas large enough that stuff spawns at one end when I am at the other, then hold one direction and the net until I got what I wanted. The thing is, the fastest travel are mounts. When it gets its truffle is too big to fit in a portal, why is a witch's broom too big? It literally is the exact same player height. I got good at dismounting remounting when reaching the portal to not lose speed or slam against the wall, just that it is annoying to do and feels wrong. Which is the worst part. It is not something you expect to go that way. I know that portal gang is niche, but it would be cool if I could do this. We have, or will reach now, and for them I couldn't get them to spawn at all, gnomes. They always spawn behind living wood walls if they are world generated. I did remove the entire world and then build things after, just that I used cheat sheet to copy paste from another world naturally spawned in living wood walls. And as you see when I copy paste it into a normal world, like the Celebration Mark 10 seed, this works even with copy paste. I tried to spawn them literally everywhere. The inner and outer thirds, all layers and nothing. They never spawned on me, and I had to cheat to get them. I also cannot just add the garden unknown item, due to that not giving the bestiary entry or banners. For fairies, you cannot have them naturally spawned in this world, as that is tied to those 4 logs. you see on the surface, but they always can spawn from shaking hollow trees. The problem is they are a very rare thing to come out, and Celebration Mark 10 makes 7 out of 8 fairies ping, so more grinding for me, not like trees would randomly drop tactical nukes on themselves, having me to constantly rebuild the tea farm. And right after gnomes we have upcoming one of the enemies with the most drops in the game, rivaling bosses. It also is one that doesn't have kill count. Not the Winnie Slime, but the Balloon Konmoka. They have 9 1.4 drop rate items, 7 kites and 2 paper airplanes. Who thought this was a good idea? At least make the mixed colored crafting recipes. I will only mention this once, but there are many enemies with variations, including seasonals, and I had to beat all of them 50 times, each, to get the full dex entry in the bestiary, and with Dreadnoughtalus being the first, that also applies to all bosses who spawn enemies. I need to beat 50 of those summons as well. For the rock golem have I one thing to say, they spawn walking away from you. If you have never seen them, that's why. And I only know that because I could zoom out so far, I saw them spawning and 100% of the time walked away, to the point where I needed to build a wall on my spawning platform so that they don't just run off without me ever killing them. The only enemy with that eye. After that comes the pink jellyfish. Guess where they are in this world. Pause the video and give it a long and hard thought before I say it. Pink jellyfish spawn in the ocean. As we know, is the ocean in the inner third of the world, so they spawn in the outer edges of the world at Cavern Layer. It is so mind-boggling wrong in the spawning location for all the ocean enemies who are harmful, while all non-harmful ocean critters exclusively spawn in the inner third. It's just ridiculous when you need to figure this out with no place telling you about it. Going through sandstorms are the one relevant thing you cannot create with journey mode, meaning you just need to wait, and you better have Hallowed and both Evil Deserts as well ready. For dungeon I have to say, first the 3 walls aren't just for show. Each enemy has a wall they spawn behind, for the most of it exclusively. I don't know if it means you have to stand before those, or if it decides when they spawn in front of something. The worst thing is that there are enemies with variation, that by the way for the Ragged Caster, just differ in try to see it for yourself if you notice what makes them unique entries, as it is the eyes being different. I had to not only find every enemy, but also every variation of those variations spawned behind different types of walls. Finally, some free time, as I remembered what I wanted to rant about. The name for the top left character is that, and if I were to remove the pink color from that name, would it be short enough? If you don't know, using square brackets, item ID creates an item emoji. That's quite short, but adding color is, in square brackets, C/hex code for the color, which in most cases is 6 numbers, column, what you want to write. This adds so much bloat to text you don't see, that even short text like 2 kanji to already cheats the character limit takes up 11, just for formatting of 20 allowed characters. I used an inventory editor to make the name, but servers forbid these names to enter for reasonable reasons. People could otherwise have 1000 characters long names and break the server, but at least don't count formatting. Theoretically that means names can have a max of 20 times 12 characters for 240, if every character has its own formatting, but I can't see how this is too much, and if needed, add a server command that blocks players with too long names. This name should exist, and you know that is true. Oh, and if I'm going to do it, this character is for me trying to do Inferno break every boss, as I think I finally found a way to break every boss, including the one that they really tried hard to be unbreakable. We have reached the Old One's army. I needed banners, and you already know what that means. Yep, another standing still and wait. The Old One's army enemies basically are all non-standard, so they need anything from 100 to 1000 kills for a banner. And I glanced over Picron. He drops a kite. The wiki shows multiple kite colors, but the 3 types all drop the same kite. From now on, nothing interesting is going to come up. Except, yes, I did get the 25 kills for the cultists, like the ones you defeat to spawn the boss. The one weird thing I just now remembered, Wyverns take 50 kills, but they feel like a mini-boss, when these guys are just there, constantly spawning in, and you can simply quit out without beating the cultists to not have to do the pillars every time. So I wanna say, these texture packs, all 30 of them, are like mostly there because I think it's funny, after having seen vanilla texture since the release date. I may have dropped playing for a while, but I was back before Calamity mod. I still remember old Calamity Death mod being all bosses at daytime entries for 3 treasure packs. The thing with these texture packs is that there are things I like, most things I'm neutral, and then things I dislike. so I used other texture packs to override that. I even went already in once and just straight up ripped the texture and redraw them. That entire thing is what gave me the idea for the beginner texture pack. I recently have seen a lot of new players trying Terraria, and a lot stumble over the same thing. This game is massive, and not Minecraft, which is horrible as everyone sells this as Minecraft but 2D, so people come in with that expectation. I will say, Terraria building is in some ways better than Minecraft. Furniture is insane as you no longer build a house, you build housing, but that is not what the game pushes you towards. It has so many great things to guide you, just to be too cryptic for players to think it is useful information, ignoring it and getting frustrated for not knowing what to do. It would be great if there is one texture pack where the community can just say, yeah, use that and you will have the full experience without ever feeling like you need to leave the game or getting guided through the game. And texture packs work with vanilla, so you don't need to say, download this modding tool before you even started playing the normal game. And we have reached the end. I am now walking past every item in the game. I was thinking to speed it up, as this takes 25 minutes at base speed. Whatever I will do, you are not seeing. Then we have the one special banner, and what I skipped over. You may have seen how salamanders have no kill count. That is because of them, giant shelly and crawdad, only 2 can spawn in the world. The third automatically gets filled into the bestiary entry when you get the others, and the banner you can craft from the others. If you knew that, say, I'm lying! For the other banners, what is missing is just Hell Dungeon and Desert decorative banners. Here is trophy time, or soon, or something like that. It took me that many kills to get a trophy. Eye 6, Slime 4, Worm 17, Brain 5, Deer 4, Skeletron 4, Bee 8, Wall 4, Gamer Slime 22, Ready 7, Spaz 19, Magworm 20, Metalhead 9, Plant 8, RGB Lamp 6, Golem 9, Duke 3, Cult 3, Moon 24. With tools and weapons do we now go to the thing of how do we count. All things Hellstone and Chlorophyll are unobtainable without a Hellstone Furnace, and those 2 Hellstone for duping, so count these as you want. The Hellstone Furnace or upgraded Adamantine Forge is only appealing on weapon tools and armors for the 4 bars you get with it, thanks to Hardmore's ores coming as bars out of crates. Furniture is made like any other on Workbench, Sawmill and Co. Of all the hooks there is one then that is missing. The web hook can only come from web chests, as the only spider biome item. This is not a fate the ice mirror shares, as there are plenty of ice biome items, but only the mirror doesn't come from an ice crate. Things that may surprise you being obtainable are living wood staves. They can always be dropped from the respective tree by shaking them. Here we come to the item that is unobtainable because of seed instead of some special reason. Clamtamaniter plus Terraformer out of Shimmering One, followed later by the solutions, never are sold. There is 10 unobtainable items to trade for the unique, for the Get Fixed Boy, Ocram's Razor and Waffles Iron. Celebration Mark 10 also has Jungle Mimics, giving the question what is worth more, the items you cannot obtain anywhere else or a low item count. Oh, and testing was on Celebration Seed, but one of the Master Ninja Gear parts can only be obtained from pre-hard mode mimics, so we are trying 5 against 10 items. We may have already passed it, but the weird item that I really see no reason why it is unobtainable is the Encumbering Stone. It is desert chest loot, and unlike the Ice Mirror isn't there a functional clone. You really should be able to get the Encumbering Stone from desert crates. Following will we come past the Bladed Gloves and Bloody Machete. I marked them green, as I am unsure if they are obtainable in hard mode. They only drop from weak enemies during Halloween, meaning if you wait for Halloween to start, can you 100% get them. The thing is, I don't know if weak enemies exist in hard mode. Even what is in pre-hard mode weak, I think gets too strong to still count. And I did try without result for a bit. Weak means drops 12 or less silver, has 20 or less defense and 120 or less attack. If I understand the wiki right, to even green slimes, the weakest enemy in hard mode, boost past this threshold. One thing I didn't test is if classic mode applies, as in that going from the wiki enemies don't get buffed, and I can change difficulty on the fly with Journey. It's not important enough for me to fully test, and it is always possible when doing things at the right time. We walked also past Meteor stuff, which is naturally post-evil bosses, needing the demon altar to exist in a world. And that one also counts for furniture, as you can't even get the ore without. Same goes for everything Old World Army related, like the Betsy's Wrath. Under the yo-yos is one weird one. The cascade cannot be obtained in hard mode, and it cannot be obtained pre-skeleton. So you would need to beat a Dungeon Guardian pre-hard mode for the skeleton key, just so you can beat skeleton to make the cascade appear in the loot pool of hell enemies. The spear is in this weird scenario, where you can shimmer the spear into the trident and not vice versa, when the only one you can get out of crates is the trident. This should, and you know it's true, be a two-sided shimmer process. For Terraria, all I can say is no short rhymes. Just a random thing you cannot get any other way. Following are biome weapons, and they are also obviously impossible. Maybe you could add that if you have a biome key, you can open those locked chests out of dungeon crates with them to get the biome weapons, just from fishing. The coin gun isn't special in any way. I just want to mention that I farmed pirates for 20 minutes without break at 300 times spawn rate, and I made sure they spawn properly. It has a higher drop rate chance for Dutchmen and captains, which are rarer, evening out the odds again. On this break in between to the next important thing, do I want to mention I recorded so much it broke my PC. Weird stuff happened, so I restarted my computer first things first. Just for this world and exactly only my node function to get wiped. I never go into the Terraria folders, so I didn't know at first about the backup saves. These I only found way later when I already placed everything, but still, if you ever lose your world, go to wherever your Terraria is saved, and that is a different folder from where Steam gets you when you click open in folder. There you find the .bak files of your world. The name of the file is how the world was named on creation, so if you change the name, this will not. With everything lost did I make a new empty world to place it all, and this is how a world looks of someone who has lost it all, and then just lost it. If I didn't get the old world back, would we not have the bestiary entries, so it is good that I found the backups. Oh, and how did the word and character that I made at the same time not both get deleted or anything else on my PC for that? Probably are nodes marked as low priority and will be overwritten if space gets low. As far as shorter note, the water boat is unobtainable. It only comes through getting it from a bookshelf, and we don't have natural dungeon. Maybe just one more thing to add to dungeon crates. I again have some time to mention, just some things the wiki was missing, and if I missed anything is it because things I overlooked were missing. I used the wiki to have neat ordering instead of doing it by item ID, with the downside that I cannot know if something is missing. Drax, Palladium Drill, Mithril Pick, Cobalt War Axe, Lunar Hamaxes, Golden Platforms, Living Wood Platforms are all missing from the wiki, or at least the categories where they belong to. Like I could say 5455 items, understandable, have a nice day. Just that means I have to now fear that something isn't there that should be. Then there are quest fish that are nowhere to be found as well. That's why they will be at the very end, when I realized I never placed them. They aren't with the other fish or mist or anything. Besides Hailstone and Chlorophyll are other armor sets missing the evil ones with lack of shadow scale and tissue sample without a demon altar. And I have to say, while some of these outfits are questionable, especially the headpiece I like so much with these texture packs. Like jungle looks so jungly, instead of all the base game armor sets looking far too industrialized, even when made out of plant matter. I also here saw for the first time all armor sets, period. I never before this did anything Old One Army related, mostly because it just doesn't work. Every time I try, no matter how flat the area, did it not start. These days you cannot place the altar, it even popping out if you use force to copy paste it in with cheat sheet if the area is not correct. That wasn't always the case, but I really like those outfits. I'm talking about base game by the way. Dark Artisan. Man, that just isn't Terraria armor, but looks so good. Making sense when it's cross on our content, and it mostly comes down to sticking out from being different, but I still like it. Now other random stuff you cannot get, and I have no idea where they come, as there is more than one part with equipment, and I see more not leggings. Those you cannot get as well, and I guess add this to the total of 6 items you can get in this seal compared to the 10 Clan Terminator items you get in the Celebration Mark 10. Other stuff like the legs are Deadman's Sweater and the Mushroom Vanity set, each coming from either Living Wood Tree chests, Deadman chests or Mushroom chests with no alternatives. Haven't reached Furniture Hell, and I call it that because I had to craft all of those, making sure I can craft them with the tool I have, getting me 2 really weird recipes like being near water and a crystal ball to make waterfall walls. I also realized that there is no means to obtain the living wood loom and the lizard furnace, who are needed for all the furniture of that. Guess living wood loom makes sense, as you cannot have living wood in the inventory, but you totally could say that the lizard furnace is a furnace and lizard bricks. Of course, none of the special crafting stations are craftable themselves, but those all can be get through buying mostly by having a steampunker in a certain biome, like the jumping temple for the lizard furnace maybe. That is why I also mark lizard and living wood as unobtainable, even if you could just start with the crafting stations to get it all. We talked about it I think by now twice, but a third time then. Our obsidian and dungeon furniture uncraftable. They are always right at the end before gold furniture you get from pirates. Some exceptions exist, but for the most of it can you not get any of that furniture without finding it in the world. We then also will pass by chests, and there are in fact some chests you cannot get. They include Ivy chest, ocean and web chest. Makes sense as there are no real blocks attributed to those things. Even if webbed is just chest plus cobweb and ocean is just shell ply plus iron. Come on, it's not that hard. And the golden chest, yup, you cannot craft them. Oh, and also lizard chest, shadow chest and deadman's chest. You can even craft dungeon and obsidian chests, but not these guys, despite 3 of them having attributed materials that is used for furniture. And I guess shadow chest would be in that case evil bars and iron to make the chest, while Deadman chest is some alternative wire plus gold chest crafting recipe. Gold chests stumbled me so hard when I wanted to make them because I needed them and struggled until I found out that they are uncraftable. Of all the things in the game, is this the most outrageous? Also, while saying this, I was thinking that maybe we get a shadow chest crafting recipe out of dynamite bars, but because it feels weird that they also are made out of crimtane, so there should be another evil type difference of Crimson World don't have shadow chests, but instead something like torture chests, but that is probably too metal of a name. It has to be fitting with shadow, but red. I think shadow chests also only spawn on obsidian buildings. So why not have the Crimson Chest only on Hellstone buildings instead? Now, after everything, do we reach the last unobtainable group. Most statues are unobtainable. I didn't know that critter statues can be crafted. So a better breakdown is this. The 26 enemy statues are impossible to craft. The 22 critter you can. The 5 utility, king, queen, star, bomb, heart cannot be crafted. Also 4 with some random wiring effect, only the mushroom cannot be obtained. The 24 decorative cannot be crafted, except for armor. And then there are 36 numbers and letters. This means out of the 117 statues are 57 unobtainable. We are back to furniture, but after will come the detonator. That is another random thing you cannot get by any means. Feels like something you make with wire, button and iron. After that will come what I did not do, and I will be honest to you. There are 88 music boxes. You get them by buying one empty one of the wizard and have it as an accessory in where the music plays. There should be nothing unobtainable here, and I had lost my entire world, so the drive to now, from scratch, create every biome again, just for this, was not there. It could be that 1 or 2 of those songs for some weird reason don't exist and get fixed boys weird. There is no surface, there is no underground, we actually have no idea what is going on scene. If you know any of that you cannot get, that's on me, for not trying, but please tell so. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to get all, but I also don't see why you shouldn't be able to craft golden chests! And with more furniture coming up, as of now was I unable to upload the world to the workshop. Whenever I tried, the Terraria crashed. I even tried making a world from scratch in vanilla instead of importing over from tmodloader, but even a 100% vanilla world crashed Terraria when I tried to upload it. I really wanted to do the fun thing of, I know what the minimum is, but instead do I hide in the world an invisible chest with a riddle on the chest names of those that spawn in included with the furniture. And that chest then has the Waldo picture and biome chest loon, so that you too have to play Where's Waldo to get everything. As it stands, it's as impossible for me to do. If you want to play the game of Where's Waldo, is this a map I would have uploaded, with this as what the chest names are. But I guess you also only need 6 dungeon bricks instead of 6 of each. And I would actually need to use something that comes up later, which makes the map more ugly, just to keep this absolute minimum you need map. On another note is that for the first time in a while that I touched Terraria over tmodloader, and man is it faster. You just move at least 33% faster for not having whatever tmodloader does to the game. It feels like being one big O step faster, which how much more it is optimized. Still though, lags the game like crazy when I use the kaleidoscope, and exclusively only that whip of all the weapons I have used. Let's talk about more things you cannot get. There is the catacombs, and later will be the hanging and wall skeleton, as the non-painting paintings you also cannot get because no dungeon. The Catacombs is by the way not a painting, as it has 4 unique ways to look like, that you change by wiggling in between blocks until you get what you want, where you want it. And that is why it is not like a painting most likely, being together with gnomes the only thing in the game that works like that. And like, how does it even work to begin with? In Minecraft, things like these are decided by coordinates. Placing on the same block the same item like sugarcane will always get you the same pattern. In Terraria it's like, I think, cycle based, so you have to figure out the passing that ends you in the place where you want the painting to be looking the way you want it to be. Being now at paintings or coming up, I first have to say there will be a lot of missing on the texture pack version, as there is one culprit who changed on both painting sheets one thing but somehow deleted half the other sprites there. It also just ignored that all the other things are patterns, in 16x16 chunks, with 1 pixel empty in between. I don't get why, but the game will reassemble by removing the gap, or if it isn't there, whatever is there. The painting and trophy that got changed just happened to not miss important things when you remove that part. So I downloaded another texture pack to just fix paintings. And the easiest there would of course be Anime Dry Discrete, as it only changes 1 painting to something very similar. Still on a way do I have to add the sprites in this game are weird. Like, my texture pack is higher resolution than the base game, so you may wonder how does it work without mods. Maybe in the texture pack files you get JSONs that tell the game how to read it. But no, those JSONs only are for Steam to know what to display in them. How it actually works is that Terraria cheats. Every pixel you see is 4, or at least for anything player related. It could be that this is so that some other things, like bosses, can have higher resolution. But in other words, can you package 4 times the information in these sprite sheets? That's what is shown in the game. This gets abused by the texture packs I use. If you put them side by side, does it really not seem like it is only that much more compared to base textures, but it really is just the next possible resolution. Here's like the direct comparison, with of course one having also the 9-tailed fox thing, where the other is just one, but this is the entire secret behind the magic. Now we are at paintings. The first 2 are boring, not much to say. The painter sets different paintings based on moon phase of the biome he is in, including corruption, even if he cannot be in a housing to get there. I won't have time to mention every reference as there are just so many, including super obscure ones, or one so simple in design you'd never guess it is based on anything than just make a raven as pixel art, when in reality Nevermore's referencing an Edgar Allan poem. We have Princess Peach's castle as well. One I like that is just Terraria is princess style. I just think it's neat. And honestly the references are interesting, but I like when the paintings can stand on their own legs. There are then also 4 Don't Starve paintings of characters from the game, which is cool for a collab to also get paintings. Do Not Eat the Vile Mushrooms I also like. Prehistoric Preserved and Ancient Tablet I just like for being more interesting than just painting. Waldo is interesting for being rarer than other paintings, so that you too can now play Where's Waldo in your own Terraria world. Strange Growth, like the Catacombs, has multiple versions, just that instead of wiggling the painting, will it have you place it and mine it until you get what you want. Why it is different to Catacombs is beyond me, despite being functionally identical in what it tries to do. Impact is another I really like, for being so Terraria. And following it comes Powered by Birds, as a great nod to using critters and pressure plates to trigger some mechanisms. Remnants of Devotion I not only like, but it appears in Biome chests. It's a 50% chance, so absolutely possible that there are none in your world, or 6. Constellation is cute. Love is in the trash slot I like for what it is, including the original painting of Love is in the Bin. Lady of the Lake I think is adorable, despite just being a King Arthur ripoff. Just can't remember where King Arthur then started to shoot out Nyan cats. Must have been something that slipped my mind. Lizard King is one painting not from the Desert Dungeon Underground or Hell that you cannot get, as it is from the temple. I never even noticed that there is a painting in the temple. Wings of Evil is another one I like. I just like it. But this is getting out of hand. It's just cute for the full package, how it's named and what the painting is. Finally, Fangs just works, as you need to fish the Duke of Fish. Accessories at last, and we right away see the flying carpet you cannot get, which that then includes the Pharaoh's robe. Sandstorm in a bottle you can get from crates to shimmer into the Pharaoh's mask, but neither Pharaoh's vanity or the flying carpet is obtainable, and that is just another thing that should be in crates, like the carpet should be. As far as I know, are you not guaranteed to get one carpet in the world, even a large one. The reason for fishing is to get things you missed out due to screwy world gen, so why no carpet in Desert Crate? Oh, and Cloud in the Bottle is also unobtainable. You can get the Tsunami, the Blizzard and the Sandstorm, but not the most basic, the Cloud in the Bottle. I guess because that gets replaced with the Tsunami, to show that you fish for it. Without Cloud we then don't have Fart in a Bottle and Fart in a Balloon and Green Horseshoe Balloon. The fishing bobbers go into the give us a way to obtain helium through div shimmering rainbow blocks as would make sense and give access to this even if there are no longer any in the world, or if you have a really old world you kept all this time that never had any to begin with. So what we now reached is probably another thing, move to graveyard crafting. All traps, spikes and wooden ones. Dart traps, you can craft Ven ones but we don't have the normal ones, and the super version, spike ball traps, spear and flame traps, and then volcanoes all cannot be gotten. This is one item I the most assume that in the coming Skyblock seed will we be getting a crafting recipe, as traps are for farming, and that you need for Skyblocks. The blocks that just like the temple I doubt we will ever be able to craft even with Skyblock seed is dungeon bricks. You can make cracked ones if you have the normal version, and use extraction editor to shift between the colors. All that is missing is a way to get the first 6. And now we come to more complaining. Paint sucks in Terraria. If you're not using deep paint, you might as well don't use it at all. It was a bit unfair using pixel blocks, not knowing how they work, as they have a split mechanic where they turn on and off based on from where they get power. Instead of just like anything else in the game, do it by if they are powered or not. Here's me running custom again with them turned on. As you can see, it doesn't change a lot. In fact, I think you see the color less if they're turned on. The block made to be used with paint doesn't work with paint. There needs to be some serious buff in how much normal paint affect blocks. The problem with always using deep color is it completely removes the original block's color. I want to have blocks with a tint of color, not these color always all the time. This is even worse, as on the map it sees as if normal paint completely overrides the block's color. Finally, white paint or so, there's nothing, not even equation or mods as far as I could find, that increase the speed in which you can paint. Like if you don't want everything to be paint, don't use smart cursor. Regardless of how fast you paint, the smart cursor always be weird. Meaning why is it so slow that without movement access or any speed boost, you're not even painting every other block when moving constantly forward. I'm not joking when I say make it 5 times faster, and that's bare minimum I accept. From paint to dye, now using my character I use as reference model. Doesn't suffer as much as paint. I mean look at the light dyes actually changing color, just that they're all mixed with white. You can at least see the color always. But why can't they just multiply with the original color also, whatever you're wearing? I will accept that intense flame, for example, looks really bad on my row, as not all dyes have to look good with everything. But I will say that consistently, black and X looks just the wrong way around. Maybe it's just me. And to be fair, I do also look at the manufacturers. But to me the black and color should swap places for anything that isn't pants or chest piece. Maybe it would be cool if we also get X and black, instead of just black and X. For silver and X it is not that bad, but this is most likely due to black being so aggressive as color in anything. It really needs to be at the right place to look good. Black and white is one of my favorite colors. Just that, and this also applies to reflective, martial, mirage, void, everything is effectively living in the name, so all dyes actively do something. All of these I wish you can mix with normal colors. Like give us dice or 2. I'm not joking. Here I made some mock-ups of this character where when she Photoshop and overlaid solid colors, all the character buys me of course, cutting out all the parts that are exited. But otherwise I just had the shades of the 2 layers combined. And now have green Martian, red Martian, and there's one way I played around with color sliders randomly, but I don't know how you would make that automatically based on every color. I just want more customization. Is that so much to ask for? I know that my other ask for giving us full RPG experience with the species choice, and then I'm effectively accommodating for that. By example, if you are like the just bitten by weird fox, all armor pieces now having ears, and basically wants us to tail cut out, while solar imagine the sun like glowing tail. And what about funny like the truffle? Where all armor looks really weird as the body structure of funny is so different to any other species that an NPC in the game has. This long rant was due to there not being much to say to vanity, except we will come across the guy that this character is from. It's a weird custom set of many that need strange crafting recipes you would never find out naturally, with how random the blocks are, and then also changing between the armor pieces. Upcoming is Plaguebringer, another weird crafting one, and I think it was the first now of the armor set with animation. Sadly, you only get the animation with the full set. I would love if that is just tied to having one piece instead of all 3, so that you can get that animation but not always looking exactly the same. The TV head does work without the full set, so why not the other ones? Finally, let's just overlook how free-spirited some of the dev sets have become with my texture packs. During the potions I want to mention, as I think I forgot to put it there, but I have it in my note, that hair dye was not anywhere found on the wiki list, so I forgot to put it. I also forgot that I noticed that and then wrote it down. For pets now, that carrot is from the collector's edition, which I do have somewhere, so I am legally allowed to have that pet, and I would not need to cheat it in. The flower spawns in the edges of the world, but only in World Gen, so it's unobtainable, just like the dirtiest dirt block that spawns in as a regular dirt block. I already mentioned how I would love if we could combine certain pets that fit, like getting the Medusa pet. And please give us armor stands, but for pets, so that you can actually see the pet as pet when placing it. A bit more to ask would then be also do that for summons. That means the only thing left is the empty gas canister. That comes from naturally spawning in a trapped chest to poison you. Honestly, it's so rare I can't remember ever being hit by it. And it is uncraftable of course. This means we are done with the 5455 items. When starting with the Demon Altar, 2 Hellstone, 6 Dungeon Breaks of any color, 6 blocks of Shimmer. This could be reduced to 4, but that is inconsistent and I don't know if there are things that up to Moonlord you need to Shimmer that you can't with just 4. a temple door, the golem altar and one forbidden lizard wall. These are the items you cannot obtain. And I will now politely refrain from naming every single painting that is out of the desert, underground, dungeon or hell, as that is 87 paintings. Out of the 173, almost half. 57 statues are missing as well. All enemies, all but one decorative statue as well as glowing mushroom, king, queen, heart, bomb, star. What I was missing with furniture is that there is also the gothic variation of bookcase, table, workbench, chair. And also there is the dungeon door that is just called dungeon door instead of a color that every world has at the entrance up there. And then we are missing also the normal doors for dungeon and obsidian. Naturally, the temple door we need for the achievement, but that is also our lizard access. Otherwise, from dungeon variations and obsidian, we need bathtub, bookcase, workbench, table, chair, lamp, candelabra, chandelier, vase, each. Ivy, living wood, webbed, gold, shadow, deadman's and lizard chests are also not there. Deadman's sweater, moonlord legs, mushroom head, vest, pants cannot be obtained. Because of duplication do I now need to add numbers, so 5 each. Dart, super dart, spike ball, spear, flame trap are the duplication numbers here. Flying carpet, encumbering stone, web slinger, contaminator, glow tulip, dirty dirt block, use, gap trap and carrot are the missing non-weapons. While for weapons it is Terragram, spear, waterbolt, desert tiger staff, scourge of the corruptor, vampire knives, rainbow gun, piranha gun and staff of the frost hider. In addition are there 25 helium moss, 5 geyser. I may have called it volcano earlier, but it's geysers we cannot get. 100 spikes and 100 wooden spikes, 1 living loom, hailstone furnace and lizard furnace as well. As to cap it off is what we need in a world to get 1000%, 99 each of red, blue, green, dark blue, yellow, white, brown and purple solution. This is 90 red, with 9 item frames that are there as I couldn't place items inside for some reason. I would need to zoom out so much for the 792 solutions spread out like this, so you only get one of the other 7 in this picture, including everything missing. The total of this first number is going to be insane, due to needing 100 of a few things, but it is 1276 things. We need in a starting world, possible -2 with 4 shimmers to obtain everything. That is 230 for our unique items you cannot get from just shimmer, and of course you also then need the shimmer to start off, for a total of 235 unique things. Time for the last thing that is left. We have done the bestiary, we have done every item in the game, and we now do all 88 achievements. For this I will skip bosses, but otherwise what you see is how to get them in Skyblocks. As I have most of these achievements already, with everything resetting, some getting reverted but some didn't, well I just need to say, trust me bro. I know that this works for the ones that are weird. I won't be saying anything to trivia stuff, as I do not show every achievement, so I can't be tying what I say to what I show, but here we go. Ooh, shiny can be triggered from player place or. You wouldn't normally have it pre-mining, as you specifically need to mine it to have it. Heartbreaker you can get by crafting a repaired heart crystal in the graveyard and place it just to immediately break it. I am loot triggers from any gold chest you open, probably because you cannot craft them. Smashing Poppet just needs the orb or heart in the starting world, no way around that. Whereas my honey only triggers from world generated hive worlds, so you need that as well. Dungeon heist you can get because you can craft chest locks, and opening such a chest with the key still gives the achievement. Extra shiny can be again triggered by a player placed ore, and it also goes for photosynthesis. Temple Raider you can only get with the temple door, as you cannot lock doors, but we need that anyways for the lizard bricks, for furniture. Big Booty works just like I am loot, as chest locks also do biome chests, and you can get those by shimmering a key. Then there are all kinds of event-based things, and boss things I'm ignoring, but obviously you can do, with some needing a demon altar. Sticky situation suffers under get fixed boy, as slime rains never happen in the sea. So, no, you cannot get that achievement, ever, while also getting Waffles Iron. These two things are mutually exclusive. Real estate agent suffers under the stylist. If she can't spawn, you can get it, otherwise you can't. Jeeper creepers unlike Where's My Honey you can get from player placed walls, but it has to be infested spider walls. I did test, and yes, you can get every slime from just shimmer, so gelatin world tour is possible. Lucky Break is 35 blocks with 100 HP, no defense, if you want to have it be consistent. What surprised me are the just crafted random item achievements. I get drags, as they thought drills are cool until they realized they are the opposite. or all the other player guidance achievements. But Rainbow Rod? What makes it so special? Then we get to the third achievement you cannot get in this. Watch Your Step needs you to be hit by a naturally spawned trap, to a point where even using cheat sheet to copy paste it doesn't count. Or I'm just dumb and become victim means that you have to die to it. But in my testing I was never able to get it, regardless of what I tried. Heliophobia is another case of, is it possible? I don't know. As gnome spawning didn't work despite Get Fixed Boy even having special reworking of how the achievement is get by getting them into the underworld to make garden gnomes out of them. Is this just... it would work if they would spawn. It's not like cheat sheet is the issue, or this world interacts weird with cheat sheet. You can get Where's My Honey from copying pasting a high fall out of another world, but living wood worlds don't work like that, in this seed specifically. Deadman Tails on Tails can be done even if you place a chest, but it has to be a Deadman's chest. That one is unique to trap chests in the case that it does actually open with an inventory, while also triggering wiring, but you cannot craft it. I only realized while going through the achievement, so I forgot it in that picture I showed you with all the items, so one Deadman's chest needs to be there as well. Finally we get to something more easy in the seed, as a rare realm can only be gotten in the secret seed. And following a Shimmer in the Dark needs you to do the one thing this entire thing is built around. But 297 Shimmer blocks gets you the Shimmer biome for the music box. That is when the background turns for me into the Shimmer biome. Good riddance you can of course get, but even funnier if you talk to the Dryad right after doing the eye, do you instantly get it. And I realized that she only updates the count on a reload of the world, so even if the world is 100% corrupted. If you never close the world from when it is not corrupted to now, will it still give you the achievement. Done with it all, out of the 88 achievements, Smashing Poppet, Where's My Honey, Worm Fodder, Mastermind, Dungeon Heist, Begone Evil, Robbing the Grave, Baleful Harvest, Ice Cream, Gelatinous World Tour, Sword of the Hero, Rainbows and Unicorns, You and What Army, Hero of Terraria, Infinity plus one sword, Eye for an Eye, Black Mirror, and the Grave Slide Mentosis are the achievements that need something in the starting world, most of which 6 dungeon bricks or a demon altar to be obtained. 3 sorta cannot be obtained regardless of what I try to do to the starting world. Leading Landlord needs you the stylist, but she doesn't spawn behind infested spider walls. And gnomes have the same fate of even if I have the spawning requirement correct, they decide not to spawn. Sticky Situation is the one achievement that never, under any circumstances, is obtainable with the Get Fixed Boy seed. With all being said, are we done? 85 achievements out of thin air, 5220 items, got due to the power of Shimmer, all the game has to offer, in just this little speck of the world. Well then, it's not time to do it all over again, and show this is actually all you need. As if, I'm not doing this a second time.